Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to pull out the best bits of knowledge from all sorts of sources, just for you. Today, we're tackling something I think, well, pretty much everyone struggles with at some point. You know that feeling? You start something new, learning a language maybe, or hitting the gym, you're super excited, and then a few weeks later, poof, the motivation just disappears.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a common cycle. Life gets in the way, right? You miss one day, then maybe another. And before you know it, weeks or months have passed and you're back where you started. Frustrating.
Exactly, that burnout feeling.
But what's really interesting, what our sources really dig into, is that cracking this code isn't just about, finding more willpower. The real secret seems to lie in understanding the science behind how habits actually form.
Right.
And while the examples we looked at often focus on learning English, which is a great case study, these ideas, they apply everywhere. Reading more, meditating daily, picking up a new skill for work. It's all the same underlying principles.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then. We want to pull out the core wisdom from these sources, find that sort of shortcut to being consistent and making changes that actually stick. And honestly, we found some really surprising facts and some very practical tips you can use like right away.
Definitely practical.
There was this one story in the sources that really jumped out at me about a woman, Maria from Brazil.
I don't remember that one.
She'd been trying and trying to learn English for something like 5 years. But what was amazing wasn't just that she kept going, it was her confidence. She said she'd finally cracked the code. And when they asked her what changed, well, it was surprisingly simple.
Yeah, it really was. She said she stopped trying to force herself into these huge, 2-hour study blocks every Saturday, which sounds good, but
Right, sounds ambitious.
but unsustainable for most people. Instead, she started studying for just 5 minutes every single morning while she had her coffee.
5 minutes. I mean, it sounds tiny, doesn't it? Almost pointless.
You'd think so initially. But she explained that often those 5 minutes would turn into 10 or even 15. But more importantly, even on days it was just 5 minutes, she did it. English became part of her identity, not just this chore she had to push herself through.
Identity. That's key.
Exactly. She built up what psychologists call automaticity. The habit became ingrained, like brushing your teeth, you just do it.
Okay, so how do we get there? How do you actually build that automaticity? Because, I know I've struggled with this.
Me too. My own experience, which also came up in the sources, was very similar to Maria's initial struggle. That all or nothing mindset. I try to study English for hours, get totally burnt out, and then just stop for ages. If that sounds familiar to you listening, well, you're not alone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that. So what was the turning point for you? What changed?
I kind of stumbled across this idea, sometimes called the 2-minute rule. The basic concept is, if you want to build a new habit, you make the very first step so incredibly easy, so small, that you literally cannot say no to it. So instead of aiming for, say, an hour of English study, my first commitment was simply, I will read one English sentence every day.
Just one sentence. That feels incredibly small if your goal is fluency. Did the sources talk about whether that's actually enough, or do you need to ramp it up quickly?
Well, that's the kind of counterintuitive magic of it. The sources explain that, you read that one sentence, mission accomplished for the day. But often you find yourself thinking, okay, well, I've started now. Maybe I'll read the whole paragraph or just one more.
Okay.
But crucially, even if you only read that single sentence, you still won. You haven't broken the chain. And more than that, psychologically, you've reinforced your identity. You're now someone who practices English daily, even if it's just a tiny bit.
Right. It keeps the momentum going. Doing something is always better than doing nothing.
Precisely. Because breaking that chain is psychologically really tough to recover from.
So identity again, that seems to be the real shift, isn't it? Moving focus from the outcome, like I want to be fluent, to the identity, I'm the kind of person who practices English every day.
Exactly. It changes everything.
It ties into that whole growth mindset idea too, doesn't it? Believing you can develop through consistent effort, not just relying on innate talent.
Perfectly. And this leads us beautifully into 3 really powerful principles that came up again and again in the research and in stories like Maria's. And these aren't just for language learning. They apply to pretty much any habit you want to build.
Okay, let's hear them. Principle number 1.
Start ridiculously small. Like minimum viable habit small. If your goal is speaking more English, don't aim for an hour-long chat. Just commit to saying one single phrase out loud each day. Maybe good morning in English.
Or like the fitness example. Instead of committing to a 30-minute run, just commit to putting on your running shoes.
Exactly. Make the starting point so tiny that resistance just crumbles. The sources really stress that the biggest hurdle is often just starting. Tiny habits sneak past that mental block.
Makes sense. Okay, what's principle number 2?
Stack your habits. This is a big one in the sources. You basically piggyback your new habit onto something you already do automatically every single day without fail.
Like Maria using her morning coffee as the trigger.
Precisely. So, you need to identify a solid existing routine. You always brush your teeth, always make coffee, always check your phone first thing.
Right. So maybe after you brush your teeth, you listen to one song in English, or before you check your phone, you quickly review 5 flashcards.
Yes. You're linking the new desired behavior to an existing strong pathway in your brain. It leverages those established patterns, makes the new thing feel less like effort, more like just the next step.
Clever. Okay, principle 3.
This one's crucial for making it stick long term. Celebrate the small wins. Immediately. When you finish that 5-minute session or read that one sentence or put on those shoes, don't just rush onto the next thing. Take literally 1 second to acknowledge it. Give yourself a mental pat on the back. Maybe even just whisper, yes, or done.
Okay. Why is that so important? Seems a bit cheesy.
It might feel that way,
Yeah.
but the science is solid. The sources explain that this immediate self-acknowledgement triggers a little release of dopamine in your brain. That's the neurochemical associated with reward and pleasure. It essentially tells your brain, hey, that action felt good, let's do it again.
So you're actually training your brain biologically to want to repeat the habit.
Exactly. It's not just feel-good fluff, it's wiring the behavior in.
Okay, so these 3 principles: start small, stack habits, celebrate wins. What's the bigger picture here? What happens when you start doing this?
Well, you create this kind of ripple effect. It's really powerful. When you start succeeding with one tiny habit, your confidence grows. You start to genuinely believe, hey, I can do this.
Right. If I can stick to this tiny English habit, maybe I can tackle that other thing I've been putting off.
Precisely. It builds momentum and self-efficacy. It becomes less about just learning English or whatever the specific goal is, and more about becoming the kind of person who follows through. Someone who is consistent.
Which is ultimately what most of us want, I think.
Yeah. But it's important to connect this to reality, too. Even with the best strategies, everyone hits slumps, periods where motivation just tanks.
Oh, yeah, definitely happens.
And the sources are clear. Slumps are normal. They're an expected part of the process. The absolute worst thing you can do during a slump is think, well, I failed. Might as well quit.
So what should you do?
Make the habit even smaller, even tinier. If you normally practice for 15 minutes, drop back to 5 or even 2. If you normally learn 10 words, learn just 1.
The key is just don't break the chain, right?
That's the absolute golden rule.
Mm-hmm.
Never break the chain of daily practice. Because, as the sources highlighted, once you break it, getting started again is psychologically so much harder.
It really reinforces that idea. Consistency beats intensity every single time.
Absolutely. 5 minutes every day for a year is vastly more powerful than cramming for 3 hours once a week than doing nothing for 6 days.
So thinking about the listener now, this journey, whether it's English or something else, it's really about more than just the skill itself.
Oh, profoundly so. It's a journey of becoming. That came through really strongly in the material. Every single time you choose to do your tiny practice instead of scrolling your phone, you're building discipline.
Yeah.
Every time you try to speak a bit of English, even though you feel awkward or nervous, you're becoming braver, more resilient.
You're literally building the person you want to be, one tiny action at a time.
That's it, exactly. You're evolving.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. If we had to distill the core message from this deep dive, it really is that consistency wins out over intensity. Every small action reinforces the identity you want to build.
Mm-hmm. And those 3 keys to making it happen. Start ridiculously small, those minimum viable habits.
Stack the new habit onto an existing routine you already do.
And celebrate every single tiny win immediately to wire it into your brain.
And remember, slumps will happen. They're normal.
Totally normal. And when they do, just shrink the habit. Make it even easier. But whatever you do, don't break the chain. Keeping that daily rhythm even minimally is key. Restarting is just much harder.
So here's a challenge for you listening, directly inspired by the advice in our sources. Right now, think about one thing. One single tiny habit related to English or whatever goal you have that you can start tomorrow.
And it has to be tiny, so small you feel almost silly setting it as a goal.
Yeah, like reading just one headline in English with your coffee. Or saying good morning out loud in English when you wake up. or listening to the first 30 seconds of an English podcast.
It has to be something you genuinely cannot say no to, something you feel 100% confident you can do, even on your worst day.
Pick that one tiny thing.
And remember the deeper significance here. This journey, whatever it is for you, it's not just about grammar rules or vocabulary lists. It really is a journey of becoming. Every time you practice, despite feeling tired or unsure, you're forging a stronger, more capable version of yourself.
There's that great proverb mentioned in the sources too. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
The second best time is now.
Exactly. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait until you feel ready. Just start now, even in the smallest possible way. And one last thing, the sources did mention a useful tool, the 21-Day English Habit Builder. It's a PDF with specific tiny habit ideas and a tracking sheet. Might be worth checking out if you want some concrete examples and a way to track those wins.
Yeah, could be helpful for some.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we really hope this inspires you to take that small, intentional step. We believe you can make these changes. Consistent, tiny actions really can transform things. Keep exploring, keep going.